All right, ladies and gentlemen, game number 6 from the League 4545 on lichess.org. Board 6, game of the season number 13, and let's do it. Ceramic against Rasava, let's put it like this. And it was e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, the Scotch d4, but now a slightly unusual turn of events. Knight takes d4, main move here is e takes d4, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Knight takes d4, knight f6, this is how it goes. Black can also play other moves. Bishop c5 is the other main move. There's also bishop b4, there's queen h4, many moves, but this is usually how you do it. The drawback with knight takes d4 is that now the queen appears in the center on d4 and cannot be challenged. There's no easy way to get rid of this queen on d4. So you don't want to allow your opponent to install a queen in the center of the board that easily, where it cannot be challenged. c5 would not be a good way to challenge it because we'll actually see this in the game. It weakens some squares here, d5 namely. Knight f6, probably queen f6 should be played here. Challenge the queen this way, even though it's also not optimal. White can answer with e5, queen to b6, and white can go bishop e3 here, for example. Also not optimal, but probably best to continue. Knight f6, now e5, good move, going right after the knight, c5, and now queen h4. A little bit better, I think, is queen e3, so black cannot pin the pawn as he did in the game with queen e7. Now, after queen e7, white could just take on f6. After knight d5, white goes queen e4, knight c7, knight c3, and yeah, the queen again, very well placed. White is more spaced, the e5 pawn is unpleasant for black. Uncomfortable situation here for the black player. c5, queen h4, queen e7, good defensive move here, bishop f4, knight to d5, and the queens come off, and this clearly helps black here as he's developing another piece. However, this pawn is still unpleasant and there are weaknesses in the black position. Knight b4, and now bishop to d3. This reminds me of another game we saw today where white also gave up the bishop in that manner, but just mirrored, gave up the bishop on e3. Yeah, no need to do that. Yes, black is threatening to take on c2, but you can just go knight a3. Then push the knight back with c3 next move, bring the knight to c4, and you keep your bishop. Keep your bishops, please. They can be very valuable later on, and you don't just want to give it up if there's no need to do it. So knight a3 is the way to go here. Bishop d3, takes, bishop to g5. This is not really helping you here, or it's rather, let me put it like this, it's helping only white here. Bishop to g5 just doesn't, I'm not sure what the intention is of this move. I think it's time to develop this guy on c8 and to play b6 to bring the bishop in this diagonal where it's strong. You see, white doesn't have a light square bishop anymore, so the bishop can really reign on this diagonal. Bishop to g5, now f4, this looks appealing to win a tempo in that manner, but it's even better if you just continue with your development, and you can win a tempo like this as well, putting the knight on e4. So knight c3 was even better here. Just development, right? That's what we do first. First we bring in all our pieces, then we move more pawns. Of course, it's a generalization, it's not always true, but in this case it made the most sense. Bishop d8, knight to c3, bishop to a5. I can see why you played this move. Probably you didn't want to allow the knight coming to d6, but I don't think you have to worry about it that much. For example, here after knight d6, you could go, let's say, bishop a6, king to d2, bishop to c7, and you could always get rid of this knight, so it's not a super big problem. Yeah, it's not a huge problem. Okay, bishop to a5, and here you castle. No, you play bishop f2. Yeah, just castle. Just castle. At this point, why not? Bishop f2, Yes, you can do that, but b6 is a move that black want to play anyway. Black wants to play b6 to get this bishop into a game, so it doesn't really benefit you that much. So that's why I'm saying, okay, bishop f2 is not doing too much. Here again, I would prefer short castles somehow. Just feels more natural when you maybe better support here in the f file. Just somehow it feels more natural. Also, maybe if later d4 is played, you're not on c1 here on the c file. Just my intuition is telling me short castle makes more sense than long castle. Bishop to b7. Yeah, here now the knight is unpinned, so you should probably just take it now before it gets to d6 by e4, or it's very well placed in e4. So take it, take back, and bishop b7 in position should be around equal with the opposite colored bishops. Yeah, this looks around equal. See, also now if your king was here, you wouldn't have to defend this kind of g2. Okay. Bishop b7, knight b5. Yeah, I think that's the wrong route. The knight should go via e4. Here it also has a better control on f6. Bishop e1 is a nice move now to get access to the e1 square. Rook ab1, ab8 takes, king b1. Yeah, this is just very nice for white. Yes, black gets the b file, but also there's some weaknesses. This is promising for white. Also, if black takes on a5, on e1, rook takes, and d6 is always available. There's d4. White has good control here, good grip. Black cannot really open up the position in a good manner. After knight b5, castle, rook hg1. Now, here's the difference. With the knight on b5, black can now play f6. The knight is not controlling the square, and if you take, black can take back with the rook. This would really help him. So here, I think black's doing okay. Knight d6, bishop to d5, hitting this pawn as well. There's a threat to take on e5. Black's absolutely in the game. You could even say he's better. So f6 is a nice move to remember to get some play, to get the rooks into the game, to challenge the pawn on e5. Rook ac8, knight d6. Yeah, this is just a little bit too passive, right? You're playing two moves to defend the guy on b7. This is not optimal. Knight takes b7. Now you just play two moves to get to knight to d6 and then you trade it off right away. You can do that, but you could also just leave it there. It's beautiful on d6, beautiful outpost. Yes, I said bishops are great, but this knight on d6 is also pretty great. Don't you agree? So why not keep it? Play a move like bishop e1. And I think you're in very good shape here because the knight is so dominant, takes away these squares. The rook is somewhat stuck on c7. So bishop e1 and you're enjoying a nice position here. Knight takes, rook takes. Now bishop e1. Yeah, I wouldn't trade this bishop. This bishop is somewhat out of the game. Yes, it's controlling e1, but other than that, somewhat out of the game. Here you could have played d4, because if black takes, you take back with the rook, threaten b4 immediately, threaten to double, go after this guy on d7. So this is looking promising for white. Black should probably not take on d4, but if he doesn't, then you can even push d5. So yeah, this looks pretty good. All right, bishop e1 takes, rook e8, d4. Now rook c7. Yeah, don't allow your opponent to get such a strong center here with d5 and e5. This just makes your life harder. You have to take on d4. This has to be automatic. Just take. Not allow d4, d5. And now, yes, you have a weakness here on d7, but it's a rook endgame. So we already know rook endgames have a huge drawing tendency. And what you need to do here is to get some more targets. f6 and go after this pawn. And this will be a draw because white cannot go after this guy and also defend the pawn d5. So on e5. So this should result in a draw. Rook c7, d5, good move. And now these pawns are pretty threatening, and also white is just enjoying a nice space advantage. a5, f5, I like this move. a4, king c2, all the time in the world here. And here you could have continued in this manner all the time in the world. Play king c3, play g4, play maybe d6 if you want to. But e6 is the wrong step forward. And why is that? Because now black could just take everything off on e6. Like this. And what to do? Now you have a passed pawn, but this passed pawn is not going anywhere. In fact, here already it's lost after rook c6, e7. It's not going anywhere. Rook c7. Nope. Rook d8. There's king f7 simply. This pawn will be won by black. So you would need to take with the rook on e6, but it was too early. It was just too early. You want to be able to support your pawn better. This is not so scary, this single pawn here on e6. So the push e6 was too early, because it leaves you with this isolated pawn, and you always want to have your pawns supporting each other. So you only want to go for such action if you really know it gives you a big advantage. Black misses this chance, goes f6. And here actually you can win right away, you play g4. This is a decent move, but e takes d7 was just winning. Maybe you missed that there's an intermediate check here after rook takes e1 that you can now just queen with check, and then take this guy or this guy, whatever you like. Or maybe, okay, rook d8, there's rook e8, of course. And rook f8, it's important to recognize that there's rook e7 now. Now threatening d8 queen as well. Maybe this is something you missed, but even if you miss d8 queen, black cannot really challenge this pawn d7 anymore. Just to see the idea, d8 queen, then picking up the rook on b7. Game over. So we want to have an eye on these kind of options. Okay, g4, rook a8. Oh yeah, you need to play d6 here. You don't let your opponent grab even more space in the center of d6. So play d6 yourself. Of course, this is a tough position with the protect the passed pawn all the way on e6, but that's your best chance. Will be tough to defend, but the best you can do. Rook a8, a3. Here you can go d6. Also the same applies in the next moves as well. For both sides. Both sides should go d6 at some point, but neither player is doing it. c4 is also a little bit unfortunate because it creates more weaknesses than it really helps your position. Like the king can come in more easily, for example. So this is also a little bit unfortunate about this move. h4, b5, and now g5. Takes, rook g1, c3, rook takes g5, takes, king takes b4, trying desperately to create some counterplay. Here you could just go to a1 to avoid the check on c2. Minor detail, doesn't change the evaluation, but minor thing. d takes e6, and now rook dg1, still winning, but you could just take back. Nothing wrong with taking back. Rook dg1 doesn't run away. You can still play it later. You have these beautiful connected passed pawns in the center, and just completely winning here. Push them forward. Push them. Rook g6. Threatening d6 now, protecting pawn e6. Game over. Takes. This is it. All right, so yeah, I think you just complicated your life here, rook dg1. Sometimes simple is just best. Rook dg1 takes, rook takes g7, king h8, rook 7 g5. I think you could just go back to g3 Black has to play rook h2 anyway, and now you can support your pawns from behind. Play b5, and if needed, rook b3, push the pawns forward, and because the king is also so weak and your king is fairly safe, because the pawn is in the way, you're winning here. Rook g5, rook h2, d6. We could just take this guy on f5, nothing wrong with that. And yeah, that would be simpler, I think. d6, rook d8, rook d1, f4. Okay, d7 is now really making your life harder. First, take this one under control. Rook f5. Again, and you can still push this later. You can push this guy. And if black goes after this pawn, maybe this is what you were afraid of, then in this endgame you're winning because the king is just so far off and also cut off. So this is winning. For example, rook a6, and here it's a simple matter of counting. King runs up, and that's it. Game over. Okay, d7, f3, but now, only now, you lose your winning advantage by playing b5. Rook e5 was the only way now to win still. King g7, rook e8, bam, bam, bam. Now, once again, same situation, a little bit worse scenario because I guess your king is still on a1, but also this is winning with the king being cut off. Okay, b5. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm sure you both were also in time trouble. And these Rogan games, of course, are notoriously difficult, require a lot of calculations. So it's not an easy game. Nobody said that. Anyway, b6. Now black actually makes a mistake here. Here it was necessary to switch moves. Black plays f1 queen and then takes on d7. Why not do the other way around? Rook takes d7 first. White cannot take there. Black would queen and checkmate, right? So do the other way around. Sometimes that's helpful in when you're calculating. Just switch the move order, start with the other move first, and then it could suddenly turn out much better. Rook f1, and here it's actually white who has to force a draw, well, should force a draw. Takes, 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 takes. It's actually black who's up a pawn, but doesn't matter because this guy is not going anywhere. Excuse me, not here. Here we are. f1 queen. Now it's again winning for white. Wow. But not after rook b1. This is the final mistake. Rook a5 was necessary so that if rook d2, you can just take on a3 and cover a2, and this pawn will decide the game. If king g7, rook b1, rook h8, king a2, and this will probably still require some precision, but it's winning. Oh, this is nice. Rook takes a7, pawn takes, rook takes b1, and king a2, and queen next move. Yeah, so you want to be aware of your opponent's ideas, and here rook d2 was the idea. So rook b1 was unfortunate because it really runs into rook b2, threatening mate now even. You played rook h5 check, takes b7, but now of course black just gives up the rook for the queen, and we end up here with this final position, and it was a draw. The only draw we saw today, but also an exciting game and lots of ups and downs, even though, well, I have to be honest, white was better or winning for most of the game, but black tried what he could to mix it up, to complicate matters, and in the end was successful and escaped to a draw. Let me see if there are any questions about this game. All right. No questions. Ronald is saying, excellent commentary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, even though I'm feeling now being 2.5 hours in. That was a pretty long live stream. Maybe I should do less games next time, but well, this is how you learn. Anyway, what can I say as final remarks about this game? For black, check your openings. The Scotch, this is where it became a little bit tricky early on, where you were with the back to the wall early on, and but then you found your way out, and then in the end game, don't just give away the center like that. That was really the cause of your problems. Then allowing white to play d5, grab more space, and not really challenging that in any manner. And for white, good opening. And then don't give up your bishop. Keep your bishop. That's good. Keep your bishop. And in the end game, take your time. And don't rush things. Don't rush it with e6. Don't rush it with not taking back on e6. It seems you try to force things a little bit too much. This was my impression. So take your time. Of course, easy to say in hindsight. We also have to consider, I don't know the time situation, but take your time. That's my message to you. All right, with that being said, we're coming to an end of this, probably the longest live stream I've done on game analysis. Thanks a lot to the moderators of the 4545 League on Lichess.org for choosing me as the reviewer of these games that were selected as the games of the season number 13. It was definitely a lot of fun to cover them. Interesting games, well chosen. And I really hope this was not only entertaining to some degree, but even more so instructive and valuable, and helps you guys who played the games, and also of course everybody watching, to get a better understanding of this incredibly beautiful but also difficult game of chess. So I hope that was some valuable input, and thanks for watching, thanks for following. And with that, let me just check the chat one more time if there are any more questions. I don't think so. And I wish you guys a very nice evening, or wherever you are, rest of your day. See you next time. Bye bye.